To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Interviews, news, and views. You're listening to State of the Nation with Timothy Shea and Brian McLean on today's News Talk, TNT.
Yes. Well, we're about to be joined by the host of the Grassroots Truthcast podcast, Gene Valentino, joining us now. Gene Valentino, welcome back to State of the Nation. It's great to have you today. So what is going on with you? You know, I was talking with you in the back line there about Liz Cheney. Tell us what's going on with Liz Cheney.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. And hello, Timothy. The concern I have is the Bidens are perfect. The whole Democratic cabal is perfect at diverting, deflecting, and distracting your attention away from one issue to the other. It's this psychosis that they have imposed on us. Then they think they're getting away with it, and they're not. Just recently, the information coming out shows that Liz Cheney withheld January 6th hearing information that Donald Trump had offered the National Guard troops days prior to the January 6th event. I got inflamed before and talked about it, making sure we not talk about it as an insurrection. No small coincidence. Have we forgotten, guys, that the January 6th committee, just for some strange reason, the notes and records of those hearings disappeared. It was because the driver in the van that Trump was traveling in was never accosted. Trump never grabbed the wheel to try to steer it towards another direction. And the hearing itself showed that the evidence was, this is consistent with what Kash Patel was asking of Nancy Pelosi. Madam Speaker, please let us bring, I've spoken to the president, let us bring the National Guard to the Capitol steps. We fear some acceleration of unsafe protest going on there. She denied it. She ignored it. There was a camera crew following her around as she tried to inflame the anti-Trump rhetoric with her daughter at the camera. And I could go on. All of this information from Liz Cheney. Where's Liz Cheney in the scheme of things in terms of treason and breach of fiduciary duty before all of us, not just her constituents, but all of us? Why did this have to go down this path? There's too many coincidences, Hesh, that are building up now that show a real wrongdoing.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and we also saw the camera that was aimed where the pipe bomb, multiple, I think 2 or 3 cameras that were aimed where the so-called pipe bomb was, just, you know, coincidentally, magically point at the sky right at a critical juncture, and then get pointed at a parking structure for the rest of the day. And then there's all that deleted stuff that you're talking about. I mean, at what point does the public say, hey, wait a minute, like, even if you think a so-called insurrection happened instead of what I call a FedNeck insurrection, you still would want to know all the data, right? Like, you shouldn't be afraid of the information.
Well, those are the background issues that are that we're trying to have the deep state deflect and distract our attention away from. But here's what's right under our nose. Guys, the Biden administration is knowingly transporting illegals into this nation. No wonder Biden had trouble using the word illegal with the Laken Riley issue. Hundreds of thousands coming over illegally through an airlift over the razor wire into the blue states and the blue cities of this nation in the past few weeks. Now, full stop. Forget all the noise. Hey, producers at the news desk, clear your desk and think of just one news headline alone. How about this? Biden commits treason and violates his national security oath. He did so by taking illegals into this country. And then you have a Louisiana congressman simultaneously talking up the fact that because of this illegal activity, Democrats are about to gain 50, 60 more seats in Congress from these
Well, that's just it,
illegals.
Gene, because they're not taking them to the blue cities. They're planting these people in red counties, in red congressional districts, so that they do have an electoral impact. And that's what it's been about for the Democrats since 1966's immigration bill authored by Ted Kennedy. They're looking for a permanent Democrat majority. And unfortunately, we've got too many people in the Republican Party, like Liz Cheney that you mentioned, who are working for the other side, because we're no longer in a left versus right paradigm. We're in an up versus down paradigm.
Yeah.
It's the globalist elitists versus we the people.
Well, there you go. And, hello, this is the front news story. And now we Americans, we the people, are going to have to decide, Timothy, if the people from the grassroots up are going to be the governance of this nation, or the elitist select few in the cabal of the deep state of the Democrat Party. Amazingly, and it's believable, Biden couldn't have done it alone. That's why if Donald Trump gets back in, and I personally pray he does, he's got to do an enema, not only on the inner circle in the White House, but on the 5 to 7 layers of bureaucracy in this government. And as a matter of principle, get rid of some of the agencies of this government that we shouldn't be involved with, that have perpetrated houses or cabals of their own to work in a subversive way for that president, for that regime, distracting you and me and the citizens of the. Where's my congressman? I'd like to get him here to help me with a road project or some water drainage issue and protecting some of our shoreline. He's too busy just trying to protect Trump and get Trump reelected. I don't have a problem with that. The point is the congressman of this nation, the whole House and Senate, needs to be focusing on what we, the people, they promised us, and that we authorize them by our vote to get in there and do some things for us, which they happen to have forgotten about because of all these priorities imposed on them to save the nation.
Yeah, and therein lies the problem. It is those layers of bureaucracy you're talking about right there. I will save you fellas the agony of me rattling off all these three-letter agencies that many Americans would like to see straight up closed. I mean, I think we're beyond the point for reforming a lot of these three-letter agencies. I don't know that you could even take them back to a place where they had any sort of value to the country. I mean, that's a pretty big task. Do you think we can expect any government to do that on our behalf without that grassroots coming up and saying, hey, we're done with this, we're sick of it, we're not playing your game anymore?
Yeah, no country does it better than the United States of America, although an intellectual who I totally respect, Victor Davis Hanson from the West Coast, was quoted earlier today saying this will be the nastiest, dirtiest, and scariest election in our history. And you know, we're a benevolent group, aren't we? We, the nation of the United States of America, by our very nature, are benevolent people. We were giving long before NATO was established. We had the Marshall Plan, which came out of World War II. It was a plan to help Europe get back on its feet. And it did. And then we shifted those funds of benevolence to other underprivileged, striving, hurting nations in the world. And then it became an agency of government where we were automatically putting line items into the budget where $4 to $5 billion a year back in 2001 became $75 billion this year to foreign nations. The problem is it's going to the Houthis. It's going to Somalia. It's going to the jihadists. It's going to who knows who in the Biden crime family vis-a-vis Ukraine, which is why I'm glad we're taking another look at Ukraine funding. But it's those points that I fear, guys, that we need to cut back on because benevolence has been transferred to a term called greed, and greed has ended up in the wrong hands. There's a lot of good-hearted Americans who are trying to figure out how to pay their bills this month that are still benevolent people, and we need to focus on them first.
Amen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all the things that you mentioned, protecting our shoreline, et cetera, are important. But if we can get Congress to focus on 2 words, I think that needs to be their number one priority. And those words are justice and accountability. Until there's some accountability, until people are held accountable for the crimes that they've committed over the past 10 years, and until we see some actual equal justice under law and not a weaponized Department of Justice lawfare against a president and his supporters, I don't think we can go forward as a country, Gene.
Timothy, I couldn't agree with you more, sir. We have, I've always believed in the philosophy, and I've carried it when I was a county commissioner for 8 years, 2 terms here locally. Failure to defend the rights of other people may someday result in your rights and my rights not being defended. I can't worry as much as I want to worry, and I got the American-Israeli pin right here. I can't worry about Ukraine and Israel if you're not going to tell me about protecting the southern border, all of our border first. If you fail to address that issue with me first and impeach Biden for the in-your-face wrongdoing he just committed, a treasonous act of taking illegals over the line by airlift, then your 2 points, justice, transparency, and accountability, are going to fall by the wayside, and a Marxist, fascist, select few are going to be telling you what to eat, what to wear, and how much of your paycheck is being taken for them and not you. What say you?
Complete agreement.
And they're already taking 50%. At best, they're taking 50% from us, and that doesn't account for licensing and taxes and all the other things. It's absolutely amazing how much they're taking right now to take away our rights. It's like they're taking half our resources, leaving us as a 50% slave, and then taking those resources and using them against us to take more from us by means of inflation and everything else that we're seeing right now.
And while we're talking today about whether Biden should apologize or just get away with the word regret and what that means, you've got Congress, Democrat controlled, pushing through Biden, it's Biden's budget, pushing an increase in income taxes and an increase in corporate taxes. No one's talking about it. It ties in perfectly, Hesh, to what you just said. If I learned in a few programs, sometimes things have to get worse before they get better. I don't know how much worse it has to be. Otherwise, it's beyond ignorance. It's stupidity. If we don't react, if we know about the problem and do not react, then we're stupid. If we don't know about the problem, we're ignorant. Which are we?
Great question. Big question. Very big question. I mean, and it's not as cut and dry and as simple as the three of us might think, or you watching or listening. There's some nuance here for sure. And the problem with that is that nuance has propaganda piled and piled and piled on top of it. And it's a propaganda that is emotional in nature instead of intellectual in nature. So, Gene, how do we reverse that? How do we flip it? How do we reverse it? How do we make up again, and down again?
Oh boy, I don't know how much time we have, Hesh, but I would direct you, all of our listeners and viewers, to my website, genevalentino.com. And at the toolbar at the top, you'll see Gene's second Bill of Rights. We know the first 10 amendments to the Constitution is the Bill of Rights. But the second Bill of Rights, and I sort of tongue in cheek, in there I propose dramatic consequences to elected officials who behave poorly. It's the opposite of what they have going now. They insulate themselves from liability. But there is a threshold at which wrongdoing, pervasive, clear, malicious wrongdoing, must have legal consequences to the elected officials and their staff going several levels down. And there must be term limits immediately. And there must be a balanced budget immediately. Stop right there. How about just those two things, balanced budget and term limits? If we do that to them, we will, by default, have fresh blood coming in to correct some of the ills that we're dealing with now.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. GeneValentino.com is where you go to learn more and find links to the Grassroots Truthcast with our friend Gene Valentino. Gene, thanks so much for being with us today. We'll look forward to your next appearance.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Timothy. Hi, friends. Gene Valentino just landed. We've been away for a few days, and we've been exposed to a lot of viruses and colds and contaminants. And I got to tell you, if it wasn't for my wellness kit from the wellness company, I'd probably be in trouble right now. The wellness kit has all of the regiment of drugs and prescriptive medicines in this kit that help me stay healthy. And this is prescribed to you by the doctor. So you go to www.twc.health. And then if you're interested in something that you see there, this is a regimen that helps protect you from serious illness. If you see something there you like, use the promo code GENE4TWC, GENE, the number 4 TWC. We've got some serious discounts in this package, but this is your life preserver. And this is what you're going to need in these days ahead when you're exposed to things from around the world that are surprising you with all sorts of potential military and hostile attacks, both foreign and domestic, that have biochemical threats to our body. The Wellness Kit is your life preserver. TWC.health, the promo code GENE4TWC. Look for the discounts. The booklet comes with it describing a super packed-filled assault of weapons to attack those viruses and contaminants that surround you today. TWC.health.